Welcome to the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, holistic nutrition coach and speaker. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on the Beyond Sugar Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Dame, sugar freedom expert and somatic embodiment coach. And you're in for another amazing episode today. I'm really excited to have this conversation because let's face it, I have never met a woman who has not thrown her health and her goals and her routines and healthy habits in the garbage when she's gone on vacation. So I wish we were all in a room together. I could absolutely see everyone's hand raised. If I ask you the question, have you ever given up on your health goals when you've gone on vacation? And there's so many reasons that this happens, which is why I want to record this episode today, to give you some insight into why we do this. Why do we self-sabotage in this way whenever we go on vacation and come home actually feeling worse than when we left? So I'm also going to share today with you my favorite 12 tips. These are the top things that I personally do and advise all of my clients to do whenever they're going away on a vacation. Even if it's a 2-day vacation, even if it's countries away and there's airplanes involved, and maybe it's a longer 3 months as well. Like, there's no bounds to this. This is really about being intentional. And this is all going to make more sense as I dive into everything that I'm going to share with you today. But as you know, I love giving a life update before we get started and some insights. And really, as always, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm evolving right along with you all. And I think that's really important to know. I want to actually start off today that literally just before hitting record on this episode, at the time of recording this, which is a couple weeks before I'm actually going to launch this episode live. But I just checked in with my current group and community. As you know, a couple months ago, I launched the Break Free from Sugar program, my signature 10-week program. And at the time of recording this, we are just into week 2 of 10. And I'm already just so blown away by the women and the awarenesses and the shifts and the breakthroughs that are happening in, like, we've only had one call. Like, we're just literally wrapped up week 1 and have just started week 2. And I want to read this to you, obviously keeping this, the privacy and safety of who actually posted this. But I wanted to share a huge win that I literally just saw before hitting record on this podcast as I was checking in on the community. So one of the members here is sharing that I have something positive to share that happened today. I had 1 hour this afternoon to start watching the videos from this week. Normally, I would have liked to have a sweet drink or a treat to sip on while I listened. So I went to the vending machine and bought a Coke Zero. Oh, Coke Zero, my old preferred drink. It's actually been over 2 months since I stopped drinking soda, so it was the first one in a while. I took 2 sips and it tasted so sweet and full of chemicals that I stopped drinking it. I knew that if I kept drinking it, I would get used to the flavor and probably want one again tomorrow. But I made the choice to not go down that road. I threw it away in the garbage and I felt fine. I did not feel like I was depriving myself. And I stopped for a minute to identify what kind of craving I had. It was actually a craving out of routine and habit. And I told myself in the moment that I didn't need a treat while I listened to Danny's video. And I felt so empowered and free. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm so excited to read that to you because that really hit home in a big way for me today. Hearing this feedback, hearing the shifts that are already happening in only week 2. And this is, a little sneak peek for all of you of the type of healing and awareness and mindset shifts that can happen really quickly with the way that I coach and the communities that I create, and these deep understandings of taking that minute and that pause, like this woman did, this to really reflect on what am I actually craving here? Where is this actually coming from? And being able to inject that pause to consider and then choosing a better route, choosing a better option. As she did, she chose to throw out that Coke Zero. Like, this is not worth it. So the old habit is still there. She still went to the vending machine and got that Coke. But this huge, huge win in being able to pause long enough to really reflect on what was going on for her. And this is exactly how we really begin shifting out of these nasty habits and addictive patterns with sugar. So this is why I'm so passionate about the work that I do. I mean, it's for, to come into the community and see posts like this on a weekly basis. She's not the only one having huge breakthroughs here already as we're just starting week 2. So I'm really excited to see how this unfolds for her over the next 10 weeks. I know that this is going to be really transformational when we actually focus beyond the physical addictive pieces and really get into the root causes and really get into deep awareness and understanding of ourselves and our emotions. For most of us, that craving is coming from that emotional piece. And I'm going to officially announce this. I'm so excited to share that the next program that I'm going to be hosting will be in the spring, and it's going to be my emotional empowerment program. And this is actually an 8-week journey where we focus head on into breaking our emotional eating habits and that nasty emotional connection that we have with food by reconnecting with our emotions and becoming emotionally empowered women. So this is an incredible program. I'm so excited to be hosting this again. I haven't hosted this since last spring. So this is going to be the first time that you will be able to join us since last year. And I have no plans to host this program again. This is one that I really only host once a year. So if you want to know more about that program, definitely come and get your name on the wait list. You can find the link below in the show notes or over on my website. It's called the Emotional Empowerment Program, and it's an 8-week journey where we head on focus into the real root causes of sugar addiction and get into a lot of the deeper wounding, the trauma, the emotions, the nervous system, these real foundational pieces that are driving you to reach for sugar day in and day out. So if you want to have the successes just like this beautiful woman in our group is having right now, come and get your name on that wait list. I'm so excited to be working behind the scenes, kind of getting that all planned and organized. It's going to be an incredible group and an absolutely amazing program. So I also wanted to share a little life update. At the time of airing this episode, I am actually just one day away from heading off to Costa Rica. Oh my goodness, I can't even begin to express how excited I am to have some sun, to have some sun and some heat. I have not traveled in 4 years. I can't believe it. It was well before COVID. In about 4 years, I have not left the country. I've not left my little island really, and I haven't traveled much, which is so not me. I absolutely love traveling. It lights my soul up. It is such a beautiful opportunity for growth and healing and meeting new people and experiencing new cultures and new food and new beautiful scenery. So this has definitely been a long time in the coming, and I'll tell you, for anyone who lives in Canada, you'll get this. I am about done with the gray and the rain and the cold. Oh, I'm done. I'm just done with it. My mental health and my physical health and all of me just needs some sun and some heat, and I just absolutely cannot wait. So I will be there for over a month, working and vacationing and, having a nice blend of fun while also obviously supporting my clients and getting ready to, like I said, create some amazing opportunities and things that I have in store for all of you come the spring. So I'm going to be working on that there. And of course, having a lot of fun as well. So if anyone has any tips about Costa Rica, please reach out, come send me a message on Facebook or on social media somewhere. Let me know what I should see. We have most of the trips sort of planned out and we know, for the most part what we're doing, but we're also going to be allowing ourselves to flow a little bit. And at the same time, we have a rough idea of where we're going and when we're going there, but I don't know. There's still a lot of uncertainty, and this is a practice that I've been growing into over the years and learning to really let go of control and learning how to really be in my feminine and really be able to go with the flow, right? We've rented a car. We can go wherever. We have that freedom. Even without a car, we would have that freedom, right? To just allow ourselves to, if we're loving a certain town and we want to stay there an extra week, let's stay there. We don't have to move. So we're making sure to allow for some of that, as well as having some certain things that we do want to make sure to be doing. We will be attending a week-long festival on the beach while we're down there. These are tickets we bought actually 3 years ago, and it's finally happening. So that's going to be a beautiful experience. For me, these festivals and the workshops and yoga and experiences and the people are such a growth opportunity for me to be fully in my body and to be fully connected with myself and feel fully free, fully alive. I recorded an episode months ago about my back in the summer about my experiences with music festivals and of different types and what I really get out of that. And for me, it just lights me up so much. So this is going to be a really, really interesting experience, in this type of climate, being on the beach, just living in my bathing suit for a week. Like, I can't wait. I cannot wait. So stay tuned for more updates on that. I will be recording a few podcast episodes from Costa Rica. So stay tuned for those in March. Those are definitely coming up. There might be some noises in the background. Who knows what kind of animals we're gonna connect with. And this is really, the inspiration behind recording this episode for all of you, because I am, a day away from a 2-day airplane trip, as well as bouncing around from Airbnbs to hostels to festivals to all these uncertainties. I don't know what kind of food I'm going to have access to. I don't know. I've never been to Costa Rica before. I don't know what the grocery stores are like or the markets are like. And can I get organic food? Can I, what are the cooking situations going to be like in terms of kitchen facilities? There's a lot of uncertainty in that. And I wanted to speak to that, specifically as to maybe some of the things that I'm personally doing, and maybe I'll weave that in as I'm sharing the top 12 tips with all of you today to stay on track while you're traveling. But also understanding that, your unique travel situation might be different, right? You may be staying in a hotel versus having an Airbnb with a kitchen, and all of these things take some finessing. And I really just want to start off with sharing with you that it is so possible. Right? It is so possible to still be healthy and still stay on track with your goals, with whatever it is you're working on for your health and your relationship with sugar, even while you're traveling. And I would actually say that while you're traveling is an even better time to focus on these, and even easier. If you come with the right mindset, it's actually a really, like I said earlier, beautiful opportunity for growth. I've learned some of my biggest lessons, especially around my emotional eating habits and around my triggers around food, while I was traveling. We don't see those things in our day-to-day basis as much, but when we're out of our environment, if we're looking and we have our blinders off, we can see more clearly what's really going on for us around food, right? And we can understand our triggers at a deeper level and work at healing those. So that's what I want to dive into today. And before I get to my top 12 tips that are going to help you stay on track and stay healthy in whatever way that means to you while you're traveling, I want to share first why the heck is it so difficult for most women, for most of us, to stay on track while we travel. What goes on in our body and our minds when we immediately think we're going on vacation? Or even if it's travel for work, by the way. This isn't just vacation. I know a lot of you listening travel for work. I have one of the women in my current Break Free from Sugar program. She travels a lot for work, and this is one of the pieces that we're working with her in the program to stay on track and to find a system that works for her. So I just want you to know that this is so possible, right? And this is really about, like I said, I'm going to keep saying this word. It's about being intentional and creating a plan that works for you. Because what works for me is not going to work for you, right? And this takes some finesse, and it does take some practice, and it's going to take some failures, and you're going to mess up, and that's okay. So a couple of the things that I really see going on, and by no means is this list, complete. There's probably other things going on, but this is really some of the biggest pieces that I've experienced and I've seen my clients experience when we travel. There's this different energy and these beliefs that show up that really drag us back into unhealthy habits. So the first one is really being out of routine. being out of our everyday routine and our environment where we know where everything is, we know what the kitchen looks like, we know how to use everything, we know our schedule for the most part, get up, go to work, like look after the kids, these sorts of things. So when we're out of routine, what happens is, energetically we start feeling ungrounded. We start feeling unsafe and uncertain. So this sense of uncertainty, I don't know when the bus is coming. I don't know where I'm going to get dinner tonight, right? If you're out traveling around, or I don't know, if my flight is going to be delayed. Like all of these pieces, right? I don't know where I'm waking up tomorrow, maybe, right? Or what the day is going to look like. Like this, there's uncertainty left, right, and center, no matter if you're traveling for work or for vacation. And that's just part of it. And in my opinion, that's also part of the adventure of it, right? Of being out of our routine, shaking things up. But when we shake those things up, it's an opportunity for our ego to come back online and to start hitting us with our self-sabotaging patterns, right? And start talking to us, like saying things maybe like, hey, just have a little, live a little, you're on vacation, it's not a big deal, right? It can really start coming in with that cute little voice and really start tempting us to just throw in the towel, right? And when we feel this ungrounded, we feel a bit uncertain, as well as normal travel plans, right? There's usually an extra level of stress. So this is another thing that really shows up. I'm noticing that now, even as I'm planning in advance, weeks in advance for this trip that we're taking. It's been stressful. I've noticed the extra stress, the uncertainty. Oh, we've got to rent our car. We got to get that Airbnb booked. I've got to create some meals and plan for our trip. We've got to pack. Like there's all these things that we need to call our credit cards, let them know we're traveling. Like all these pieces that are sort of this big to-do list, especially before we travel, right? And while we're traveling, depending on the type of travel you're doing. So the extra stress. And as we know, right, and as we actually dive really deep into, the emotional components and the effects of stress in our nervous system and our emotions in the upcoming emotional empowerment program. But this extra stress, as most of us can attest to, is such a huge trigger when it comes to sugar cravings, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. Stress actually drives those sugar cravings. So that makes it easy, right? The other thing that's here is that it does become certain types of travel, right, becomes more tricky to have access to food. I mean, that's even just a logistical issue. Like, where is a healthy restaurant, or where is a close grocery store that I can go buy my own food from? And those pieces can become tricky too. Just access to whole, real foods is something that takes planning and research ahead of time. So this lack of planning as well is a really big piece that most women, and I know there's some of you listening that do this as well, that just don't think ahead about how can I stay on track, or how, even asking those questions, how can I stay healthy? How can I continue my whole foods diet? How can I continue my sugar detox? Or how can I, whatever it is that you're currently working on, wherever you are on your journey, how can I continue doing this for myself, even when I'm in whatever travel situation is coming up for you? So lack of planning is huge, and we're going to talk about that in the 12 tips. Obviously a big one there, little foreshadowing, is planning. We're going to talk about that. I already mentioned, right, that this crack opens up for our inner rebel to come out, our sabotaging self, our ego, our rebel, those parts of us that just want us to come back into the dark side, right? And these are parts that we all have. These are survival mechanisms and parts of our subconscious mind and our energy field that are a factor of being a human being. And the longer we have a healthy relationship with those parts of ourselves, the easier it is for us to kind of quiet them down. But when we travel, they start to come up again. And, if you don't have the right wits about you, or plan, or, really self-awareness and emotional resiliency and empowerment here, those inner rebel voices are just going to take over. The last thing I'll mention here that I really see we come up against when we travel is that this social acceptability, right? Everyone else does it. Everyone around you is complaining that, oh, I went on vacation and I gained 10 pounds, or, oh, I just totally messed up on vacation and was binging on sugar and, drinking every day, or whatever it is. Everyone around, we're getting this message all around us. We get this message in movies. We get it from our neighbors and friends and family. Everyone around us is doing it. So it almost gives us this subconscious permission, right? Well, if everyone else is doing it, then I can do it. And it's not such a bad thing because I can blame it on the fact that I was on vacation. This is also an opportunity to step back into victim mentality. Well, it's not my fault. I was on vacation. You know, that always happens on vacation, so it's okay, right? So we get into this, we start tricking ourselves and we start playing the blame game again, right? I blame my vacation for making me unhealthy, right? And that is the opposite of being empowered. That is the opposite of really fully owning your journey and your desires and dreams for your health and for yourself. So the other thing that I want to mention here before I get into the 12 tips is beliefs. We can't talk about travel without thinking about beliefs because, there's so many tied up here. And this is a piece of homework I'd actually like to give you to think about. What are your beliefs about being healthy while traveling? So perhaps, this is off the top of my head, there's some beliefs out there societally that I see where it's okay to eat junk when I'm on vacation, or like when I'm on vacation, I don't have to stay healthy, or it's impossible to stay healthy while I travel. This is a big belief that I see, right? So, well, it's impossible, so why even try? So you need to take a hard look at these beliefs that you have around this connection between travel and your health, right? It's impossible to eat healthy while I travel. It's impossible to, stay committed to myself and my health and healing while I travel. If you're using that word like impossible or should, or, really those are red flags that there's some work for you to do there around your beliefs. So you can actually start shifting out of those beliefs, which is actually a big piece of, the beliefs work. As you know, if you've listened to that episode, I can't remember what episode number that was now, but months ago, we've had a lot of conversations here on the podcast about beliefs. And this is something that I dive deep into in all of my group programs, especially in the emotional empowerment program. We're going to be diving deep into, how do we actually change these patterns and these wires in our brain that are driving our behaviors at a beliefs level. So take a look at those beliefs, get clear on what they are, and begin writing some new ones, right? That it's easy and fun to stay healthy and eat healthy while I travel. That would be a fantastic belief to start downloading, don't you think? So you can choose those and to just get started there. Okay, let's shift into the juicy stuff. The 12 tips, top 12 tips that I put together for all of you of how I and my clients have really been able to stay on track with their health goals while traveling. So, healthy travel tip number one is to plan ahead. I teased this one earlier. This is no surprise. Plan ahead, especially when it comes to food. Okay, especially when it comes to food, because if you're trying to stay off sugar, you do not want to be in a situation where your blood sugar has dropped, you are hangry, you're cranky, you need a snack, and you don't have anything healthy to grab. You are absolutely going to head to the vending machine or the candy bar store at the airport if you don't have a plan. So planning ahead, this is something that I always do, whether it's a road trip I'm taking or I'm going on an airplane, and really planning those meals. So that's something I'm doing currently. Actually, in the next few days, at the time of recording this, I'm sitting down and I'm planning out the meals for our 2-day airplane trip. When are we eating what, and what do I need to bring, and where are we also just allowing some flexibility, which is important as well, which we're going to talk about. So prepare the food in advance, just taking a minute to think about it. Okay, I'm driving in a car. We're going to be gone 10 hours. I'm going to probably need some snacks. We're going to be gone over lunch. So maybe I'm going to pack lunch. I'm going to bring a cooler, and I'm going to pack all these things, right? And then when we get to our destination, there's going to be a kitchen there, and we're going to stop at a grocery store on the way, and I'm going to make, chili tonight or something, right? So having a plan, like meal planning for your trip, is just as important. Even if it's just for the travel day, and of course, if you can, to when you land at your location. What are you going to do as soon as you get there, right? After a really long travel day, the last thing you're going to want to do is cook something complicated. So maybe you're going to pick up some organic soup at the store on your way to your Airbnb, right? Or whatever that, or you're researching restaurants ahead of time, right? If you're in a hotel, it's obviously trickier to cook for yourself. Not impossible. I have some pretty incredible stories about bringing my camping stove with me to a hotel and I would make my breakfast and I would make soup and cook myself chili and things in my hotel room. I'm hardcore like that, but I know not everybody is, but it's possible. So even if it's just researching those restaurants ahead of time, okay? So planning ahead especially for meals, like making a meal plan and getting as specific as you can and getting clear on, okay, what meals or snacks do I need to bring? What recipes am I going to do? And when am I going to prep them? Right? Do they need to be prepped the day before? Can I prep them a week before and keep them in the freezer until we go? Trying to make that easier for you, right? So if there are snacks, things like hard-boiled eggs or nuts. One thing that we often pack is like chia oats. Especially if we're going to go on like an airplane ride, it's actually really easy. We have some really good glass Tupperware containers that we take with us. It's actually amazing how many food items you are allowed to bring on the airplane. We've traveled with full-blown salads with chicken. We've traveled with like those overnight chia oats. We've traveled with hard-boiled eggs. There's actually more that you can take with you than you think. And we have also had the time where, our oats were too liquidy and they counted them as a liquid and we had to dump them out. And then we just, adjusted. We had to get what we had to get at the airport and we did our best. So don't be too attached to the things that you're bringing if there is an airplane involved, but also just open your mind to the possibilities of what you can bring. It's amazing what kind of food you are allowed to bring through. They usually just don't like whole fruit or vegetables. But if you cut it up and it's clear that you're going to eat it on the airplane, they don't care. So give it a try and do some research as well, right? With the rules at certain airports, that's really helpful too. Okay, so tip number two is to have a plan to connect to your source of inspiration every day. What is it that drives you and motivates you every day to be on this path for yourself? Whether it's continuing your sugar detox, continuing to deepen your relationship with yourself, to moving your body, maybe intermittent fasting. Like, what are the practices that you're doing to really discover this sense of deep freedom in your body and with food? And how can you keep that inspiration fresh in your mind every single day while you travel? So this would be things like writing down your why, maybe having it on your phone, having an alarm that goes off 3 times a day to remind you of why this is important for you to eat healthy and to stay on track. Maybe you want to download some really great visualizations or guided meditations, or maybe you want to choose some mantras or these new beliefs that you're creating for yourself about how easy it is to stay healthy while you travel. Like having some sort of resource for inspiration every day to connect you with why you're doing this and why this is important to you. Not why it's important to the world, why this is actually important to you. And if you haven't yet really, really dug into your why, now's the time to do that. You must have a why. There is a why. There's a reason you're even listening to this podcast right now. So really getting clear on that, and then having the reminders in place. Maybe it's written on the front of your journal, or you've written it all over your, your planner, or somewhere that you're going to see it multiple times a day while you travel. Steering wheel of your car, sticky notes are great for that. Those sorts of things. Okay, so tip number 3. Moving on. Tip number 3 is going to be a little counterintuitive, but I think this is such a massive, massive support mentally and emotionally to allow yourself to actually let go of the expectations that you are going to be doing the same things you're doing at home. You will not be. Traveling always changes things. Always. So if you have a regimented routine where you spend 2 hours meditating every morning and then you work out and then you have this healthy breakfast and you intermittent fast and you go to bed at 8 o'clock and you've got all these things tick, 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 tick at home, that's not going to happen when you're not at home. Maybe it can. I don't want to plant the seed that you can't be close to that. But the truth is, most of us carry this expectation that, my eating is going to be just as perfect. And we put all this pressure on ourselves. And then the truth is, when we travel, there's always unexpected. Actually, when we live life, there's always unexpected, right? Let's face it. But when we travel, that's heightened. There's going to be a plane that's delayed. There's going to be someone who doesn't show up where you were expecting them to show up, right? And maybe you get to your Airbnb and it turns out they don't have a stove and you thought there was a stove, right? So there's always going to be some challenges that come up when you're traveling. So if we can find a way to really just let go of the expectations and really lean into knowing that we're doing our best, okay? You're not going to be as on it as you are at home. That's just part of travel. It's just part of it. And it's okay. It's okay. Okay. So can you let go a little bit here and allow a little bit of flexibility for yourself and get clear on what goals of yours are absolutely non-negotiable. Like non-negotiable, I am totally sticking to my sugar detox and I'm not having any sugar. Great. So you're going to need to do a little bit more planning. But maybe some of the other things like having to be in bed at 9 o'clock or, having to intermittent fast perfectly or do your 2-hour morning meditation or whatever it is. I'm exaggerating, but just allowing yourself some flexibility as well, so that you're not getting sucked into this perfectionism like rabbit hole that essentially then just drives you to want to sabotage even more. So just let go a little bit. Don't give up. You're not giving up. You're not changing, but you're also acknowledging the truth that travel is different than being at home. It's different. And your routine's going to be different, and what you're eating and how you're eating is going to be a little bit different. And you're going to plan as much as you can, and then you're going to also surrender and let go of the rest. Really powerful, really important piece of this puzzle. Okay, number 4 is to communicate your needs, especially when it comes to food or time to yourself or sleep, whatever it is that's really important to you. Communicating those needs to other people you're traveling with, to friends and family. Right? I know a lot of people travel to family homes, right? Maybe you're going to your parents' house for the weekend or for a month, or you're rented a vacation home with your family and there's going to be other people there. It'd be really, really helpful to communicate what you're working on, right? Like, hey, I'm avoiding sugar right now, or, I'm really dedicated to my 30-minute morning, meditation routine. I just wanted to let you know, so people can manage their expectations as well, and it can help keep you more accountable. I actually just did this last weekend. I had my girlfriends here for 2 nights. We had a beautiful visit with each other, and I said out loud, I'm going running tomorrow, because I know myself. I know that the temptation is to not want to miss out on all the fun morning routines and hang out and chit chat and just to soak in energy with them. And in the past, I would skip going for my morning run, which I know it's just so important for me. So I said that out loud, and I asked, can you help keep me accountable? And lo and behold, in the morning, they were all like, hey, have you gone for your run yet? And I went out, had my beautiful run, really nourished myself, and then came back and was able to be even more present with them. So communication is so huge here, especially if you're traveling with other people or people are in your home, your routine is out of place. Like, what are the things that you're working on and maybe you need a bit of accountability for, and you can ask for that. Tip number 5, sweet and simple, is to hydrate. Sometimes the best thing that you can do, even especially if the food stuff has become difficult, if you're in a hotel, you're on uncharted territory, you don't have any time to find healthy restaurants or things like that, is to focus on other pillars of your health, right? Focus on really hydrating. I mean, that's something that we can do no matter where we are and how long we're gone for. We can pound water. We can chug all the water, right? And we can make sure that we're supporting our body in that way. This ties in then to tip number 6, which is to even think ahead about a movement plan. So I know a lot of people really fall out of their exercise routine when they travel, and then that really just starts making them feel a little bit heavy and lazy, and I might as well just eat the burger and the ice cream and do all the things, right? So it can be one of those domino effects. So what if you made a movement plan, and again, letting go of the expectations that's going to be the same at home. So if you're going somewhere, okay, I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk everywhere I go. Fantastic. Or I'm going to make sure to build in some dance parties. Or I'm going to get to the gym in my hotel. Or I'm going to get out for that run in the park next to my Airbnb. Right? So what working with where you're going to be and what you're going to need and your schedule of wherever you are, how can you build that in? Okay, and adjust it and adapt it to fit your vacation or your travel plan. Again, it's probably going to be different than what you do at home. Okay, tip number 7 here is to really get very intentional about making some time to relax and be quiet with yourself. Some alone time. Alone time is really important, especially as we talked about earlier, right? Travel always brings up more stress. It always brings up more ungroundedness and uncertainty. And if you're traveling for work, maybe it's even busier. So really prioritizing that you have some time to yourself every day. And maybe that's your 10-minute morning meditation before you leave your Airbnb. Maybe that's even putting in a meditation at the airport and putting your noise canceling headphones on and closing your eyes, right? Sometimes we can even go inward and take a minute for ourselves when there's things happening around us. So how can you take those pauses throughout the day and take those moments for yourself and not overextend yourself? This is something I used to do beautifully. Go away and just try to do it all. Well, I'm on this trip. I'm on, and I've even caught myself doing this with our trip to Costa Rica. I want to go here. I want to go there. I want to see this. I want to go there. And before you know it, we would be traveling every day and I would be burnt out and exhausted and just wanting to eat junk. So remembering to continue learning to slow down here, even when you're on vacation. Like if it's vacation, hopefully the desire there is to really rest and to do nothing and have no plans. And that, is something that so easily gets swept away. So really just think about that for you. What do you need in terms of some quiet time, some recovery time, some rest time, and actually book that in. Book it in, communicate it with who you need to communicate it with so that it can happen for you. And then tip number 8, you're going to let go. Continue. This is not just for travel. This is for right now, in this moment, at home, everywhere you go. Continue letting go of the guilt. Letting go of the guilt and the shame around possibly having to choose to eat something that isn't on plan. Okay, this is especially important when we travel. There's always going to be unknowns. There's always going to be situations where you just have to do the best you can do. And maybe the only option is a burger and fries. And you're going to just eat that burger and fries. And you're going to enjoy it. And you're not going to spend a minute guilting yourself or shaming yourself about ruining your diet or falling off the wagon. I'm using air quotes if you're not watching this on YouTube. These toxic pathways that we go down with our mind and the thoughts and the things that we say to ourselves when we are doing our best and we're out of our element. And the best thing that we can actually do is just allow ourselves full permission to eat that thing that we're going to eat so that we can have the food in our belly to continue about the day, right? It's not going to kill you. That one meal is not going to kill you. It's all the meals through the rest of the year that are going to kill you, right? If you kept eating burgers every day. But the once in a while situation, there needs to be some love and compassion for those situations, right? And you need to be in the driver's seat here, right? Really choosing to do that. And I've been caught in those situations before. No matter how much I plan, and I'm a really great planner, there's always something that goes not according to plan, right? Okay, I've planned to eat at this healthy restaurant that I've researched ahead of time at the airport in Mexico City on our trip to Costa Rica, and we get there and they're closed on Mondays. What? Oh my goodness. What? So, or they're closed past 10 o'clock, right? And our flight gets in at 11. I'm kind of making this up, but this is something that could happen, right? And what I'm going to do in that situation is go to the restaurant next door that's not as healthy and still get something to eat because I need something to eat before getting on my next flight, right? So that's part of travel, right? That uncertainty. And if we can really let go of the guilt around that and the shame and those expectations that I just talked about, you're going to be so much more likely to get back on track with that next meal that you have is going to be a healthy one, right? You're going to be much more likely to stay on track as opposed to just giving up on yourself. All right, tip 9. Tip 9 really ties into this whole conversation as well, but decide how you can stay grounded as you go. So we talked about stress, ungroundedness, uncertainty being a big part of travel, whether it's for work or for vacation or alone or with your family. How can you stay best grounded? This is a beautiful question. How can I set myself up to be grounded during this trip? And for me, it's not planning things too close together, right? I would rather wait 5 hours, have a 5-hour layover, wait 5 hours for a bus as opposed to having to rush for it. So getting out of the rush energy and the nervous system activation for me is a huge way to just stay grounded. Knowing I've got all the time in the world, if our airplane's late, that's okay, right? So really doing the best I can. That's a big one for me to stay grounded, as well as my morning meditation routine, daily time in nature, just not having too much planned out. Like there's so many things that I'm going to be doing to really stay grounded and connected to myself. So think ahead about that and maybe make a list of what are some things that you can do every day to stay connected to yourself, to really stay connected to your breath, to stay calm, to ground yourself and relieve stress, really. All right, moving on. Tip number 10. Tip number 10 is to focus on easier habits to continue. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes staying on track with what you're eating and your food plan is tricky when you travel. That's just the truth. Especially if you're going to be in a hotel, especially if you're going to be around a lot of temptation, a lot of maybe no healthy restaurants in the town that you're in, those sorts of things, no kitchen. So maybe your focus becomes just on those things that you do have full control over, like a morning meditation practice, intermittent fasting, hydrating, movement, getting good sleep every night, right? Taking your supplements every day. Like these are things that you don't need to rely on restaurants or other people for, and you can be in full control of no matter what your schedule is or where in the world you are. And these are the things that will help your body process any junk that you may be eating, or any of those indulgences that you've chosen to do. So focus on the easy habits, right? Maybe those are your biggest goals, is to stay on track with those and allow flexibility with food, right? If you need to. Right? Again, I'm not saying give up on your food plan here. This is, again, allowing for acknowledging everybody's travel situation is going to be different. And sometimes there's access to certain things and sometimes there's not. And, finding a way and a balance and a flexibility to make that work for you so that you come home knowing that you still did your morning meditation and you walked everywhere every day, even if you ate some extra things that, didn't make you feel good. So this is not an all or nothing. We're breaking that all or nothing thinking, right? This isn't just black or white. This isn't, I had a burger, so I might as well just eat like junk for the next 2 weeks and then come home feeling crappy. This is, okay, I had a burger and tomorrow I'm going to cook a meal for myself at home and that's going to be okay, right? Or I'm going to have the burger without the bun. I, for some reason, keep using this burger example. Fun fact, I don't even like burgers. But that's a story for another day. But you can do that without a bun. Like there are changes that you can make, right? That, make certain things that you're having to choose less detrimental to your health. All right, number 11. I love this one because this is something so many people just completely never think about. And I've only learned this because this was me. And I got caught in this every time I would come home from vacation. Maybe I was away for 2 weeks or I was away for even a 4-day weekend. I would come home, open the fridge, and there's nothing there. Tip 11 is to create a food and a health plan for yourself as soon as you get home. That week that you get home, what's your meal plan? What are you buying at the grocery store? Like, what's that first meal you're having when you get home and where's it coming from? This is usually where people slip up. They come home, they've got, 2 minutes to do laundry and unpack their bags, and then they're back to work the next day. And they're stuck in this busy work week, coming right off of a vacation with no time to plan, no time to meal prep. So if you know that's your situation, then in advance, you need to be stocking your freezer. You need to have a meal plan. You need to batch cook. You need to have some healthy alternatives, healthy foods in your freezer, whether it's a healthy curry or a chili or a soup or something that you can pull out as soon as you get home and have a healthy meal ready for you. Let alone having an actual meal plan. So on your way home from the airport, you're going to the grocery store, you know what you're buying, and you've got that food already ready for you. So what is that health plan for when you get home? Even with things like getting back in your sleep routine, getting back in your exercise routine, getting back in your meditation routine. What that first morning that you get home, or first day, what does it look like? Even just like literally taking 10 minutes to think about that and plan it ahead changes everything as soon as you get home, right? You're exhausted, you had a long trip home, you've got to do laundry, you've got to get ready for work. And the last thing that you're going to do is think about healthy food, right? So set yourself up now. Set yourself up in advance. This is such a lifesaver to get back on track, even if you weren't perfect on vacation or on your trip. This is such a beautiful way to really just support yourself and getting right back into it. Because you can. You haven't lost anything, right? And this is really important, getting out of that black and white thinking that we keep talking about. All right, final tip here is to make room for fun. This is a life tip, by the way. This is not just for travel. Make room for fun and play and joy. This is something we are so starved of, especially, okay, if you're traveling for work or traveling for vacation, if you're going somewhere that's out of your current town or realm, that's exciting. That's an adventure. You're somewhere new. Maybe you've traveled to a new city, a new province, a new state, a new country. That's exciting, right? Like, make sure that you're also absorbing the adventure and bringing the fun. Even if it's a work conference you're at, that can be fun. You're meeting new people. You're in a new city. There's new things to look at. Maybe you're in a hotel room, and that's kind of for me, that's a novelty. I'm never in hotel rooms, so that would be exciting to watch TV from bed. Like, how can you bring in these elements of fun and exploration and adventure into what you're doing? Because especially if you're going on vacation, I'm willing to bet that's part of what your vacation's about. You're in a new location, you're maybe exploring a new culture, and embrace that. I know for me, like, one of the things that I'm so excited for is even just our airplane travel. This is going to be so much fun. I love people watching. I love, like, the energy of everyone's on some sort of adventure somewhere. And Ben and I are going to have a blast. We're going to bring our little 2-person game with us. We're going to be playing games in the airport and laughing and talking and meeting new people. And we're a hoot in the airport. So, like, how can you bring in fun during your travel, even if it's a long car ride or a bus ride? Just thinking about that in advance. Like, how can I make this fun, right? Can I bring a game? Can I bring a friend? Can I listen to some fun podcasts or bring a game that I can play with myself if you're traveling alone, right? So, and not even that, but when you get to your destination, what are some fun things that you can do? Like, what are some things that excite you that you're looking forward to about where you're going or who you're going to be with that don't have anything to do with food? So oftentimes that's a big trigger as well, as we think, ooh, I'm going to this certain country or this certain, like, I'm going to Italy. I'm so excited to drink wine and eat gelato, right? So what about the other things that you're excited about if you're going to Italy, right? So thinking about the things that really light you up and that are fun and exciting that don't involve food, and taking a minute to be intentional about that in advance is a huge help. When you get there, then you're not just relying on the junk and the food, right, to give you that sense of fun. Okay, so there you have it. This is a huge list. I'm going to just really quickly recap so you can write this down. Number 1, plan ahead. Plan ahead and prepare any food that you need for whatever your travel looks like. Tip 2 is connect with your source of inspiration every day, your why. Why is staying healthy and on track important to you? Step 3, let go of those expectations that you're going to be in the same routine and the same habits as you are at home. Number 4 is to communicate with anyone you're traveling with, your friends or family. Communicate your needs. Step 5 is to hydrate. Step 6 is to make a movement plan. Number 7 is to make a plan to have time alone. Quiet time, relaxing time. Make sure you have that planned in advance. Tip number 8 is to let go of the guilt and shame around possible situations where you're not going to be eating perfectly or doing perfectly. Just let go of that guilt and shame. Tip 9 is to decide how you can get grounded as you go. So how are you going to stay grounded every single day? Number 10 is to focus on healthier habits, those easy healthy habits to continue, right? So what are the easy things that are no-brainers you can do wherever you are, no matter what, that you have control over? Tip 11 is to create that food and health plan for as soon as you get home, that first day, that first week that you get home. How can you set yourself up now to be successful when you get back from your trip? And number 12 is to make room for fun. Fun and play and joy. These things are so important and we need them more now than ever. So keep this handy. This list is for you to keep handy next time you're planning to travel and to use this as a checklist for preparing for your trip. Starting this process at like 2 to 3 weeks out, if you can, if not the week before works, to really do what you can here to really be on track. And I would love to hear your favorite healthy travel tips. So what are your healthy travel tips? What are the best ways that you stay on track when you travel. I would love to hear. Come and send me a message over on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. You can find my links below this episode as always, as well as the link to come and get on the wait list for the upcoming Emotional Empowerment 8-week group program that is kicking off this spring. And you're going to want to be the first to know when doors open. I'm working behind the scenes on creating some really incredible resources and extra pieces that I'm going to be adding to the program this time around. I can't wait to share all those details with you soon. So come get your name on that list there. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into another episode. I hope that you really enjoyed this one. I hope that there was at least one piece there that really stood out for you that you'll be able to take and apply the next time that you go on a trip, so that you can come home feeling empowered, feeling healthy, feeling on track, and feeling ready to just jump right back into your normal healthy routine. All right, we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you're loving what we talked about today, please remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone you love. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering your root causes and patterns that are keeping you hooked on sugar, be sure to check out our brand new free workshop series that will help you kick emotional eating for good. Find the link to download this free series and other amazing resources in the show notes below.